Dear students, a warm welcome. This is your complete chapter-wise course for UGC NET English Paper 2. In this single video, we will cover all 10 units of the syllabus, one chapter at a time, in a very simple language. Keep a note ready and let us begin. Before we study, understand the paper. Paper 2 has 100 questions carrying 200 marks. Each question is worth 2 marks and there is no negative marking. So you must not attempt every single question. Paper 1 and paper 2 are taken together in 3 hours. There are 10 units and roughly 10 questions come from each unit, so no unit can be skipped. Here is the full map of your journey. Unit 1 is drama, Unit 2 poetry, Unit 3 fiction and short story, Unit 4 non-fictional prose, Unit 5 language and English in use, Unit 6 English in India, Unit 7 cultural studies, Unit 8 literary criticism, Unit 9 literary theory after the Second World War, and Unit 10 research method and materials in English. We will now take them one by one. Chapter 1 Drama. This chapter travels from a Greek theatre all the way to Indian English stage. Question usually asks you to match a playwright with a play or to identify a movement, so focus on names, titles and terms. Let us walk through the ages. Greek drama gives us three great traditions: Aeschylus, Sophocles, Euripides and Aristophanes for comedy. Medieval England gave mystery, miracle and morality plays, and Every Man is the finest morality play. The Elizabethan age brought the university wits, including Marlowe and Kate. In a Jacobean period, Ben Jonson created the comedy of humours with Walpole and The Alchemist. The Restaurant age is famous for comedy of manners. And Congreve's The Way of the World is the best example. The 18th century saw anti-sentimental comedy by Goldsmith and Sheridan, and the modern age gave us Shaw, Sangy, Beckett, Pinter, Osborne and Britt. Now the terms. Catharsis means purgation of pity and fear, of a term from Aristotle's Poetics. Hamartia is a tragic error of judgment in the hero. Peripetia is a sudden reversal of fortune. And anagnosis is the moment of recognition. The three units are action, time and place. Theatre of the absorbed is a term coined by Martin Esslin. And Beckett Waiting for Godot is the most famous play. Comedy of Menace belonged to Harold Pinter, and epic theatre, with its annotation effect, belonged to Bertolt Brecht. Indian English drama is asked almost every year, so do not miss it. Girish Karnad wrote Tughlaq, Hayavadana and Nagamandala, blending myth and history. Vijay Tandolkar wrote Silence, The Court is in Session, and Ghanshiram Totwal. Mahesh Dattani gave us Final Solution, Tara and Dance Like a Man. Badal Sirka wrote Evam, Indrajit and founded the Third Theatre, and Asif Kurimpoy wrote Goa and the Doldrums. Who coined the term theatre of the absurd? Here is your exam style question. Who coined the term theatre of the absurd? Option 1 Samuel Beckett, Option 2 Martin, Option 3 Eugenie, Option 4 Harold Pinter. Think for a moment. So the correct answer is Option 2 Martin. He used the term in his 1961 book, The Theatre and the Absurd. Remember, Beckett and Ionesco wrote such play, but Esslin named the movement. Chapter 2 Poetry. This chapter runs from Chaucer right up to Sylvia Plath and includes Indian English poet along with poets and poem. Learn the movements, the forms and a little prosody. Famous first lines and phrases are frequently asked. The Ages of English Poetry. Chaucer, the father of English poetry, wrote the Canterbury Tales. In the Elizabethan age, Spenser wrote the Faerie Queene and invented the Spenserian stanza of 9 lines. The metaphysical poet Donny, Herbert Marvell, and Vegan are known for conceit. Milton wrote Paradise Lost, an epic in blank verse. The neoclassical age belonged to Dryden and Pope and heroic couplet. The romantic age begins with lyrical ballads in 1798 by Wordsworth and Coleridge. The Victorian age gives us Tennyson, Browning, Arnold, and Hopkins, and the modern age gives us Yeats, Eliot, The Westland, and 1922, Auden and Larkin and Platt. Poems and prosody gives you easy marks. The Petrarchan sonnet has an octave and a sestet. The Shakespearean sonnet has 3 quatrains and a couplet. The Spenserian sonnet uses linked rhyme, and the Miltonic sonnet has no break between octave and sestet. Among metrical feet, the Liam is a soft, strong, and is the most common. The trochee is strong, soft. The anapaest is soft, and soft, strong. The dactyl is strong, soft, soft. The spondee is strong, strong, and sprung rime belongs to Garrett Mankley Hopkins. Indian English Poetry. Toru Dutt wrote our Casuarina Tree and ancient ballads and legend of Hindustan. Sri Aurobindo wrote Savitri, the longest epic poem in English. Sarojini Naidu, the Nightingale of India, wrote The Golden Threshold. Nissim Ezekiel is remembered for Night of the Scorpion, and the Professor Kamala Das wrote An Introduction and The Old Playhouse, and A.K. Ramanujan wrote A River and Obituary. Question time. Sprung rhythm is associated with which poet? Option 1 Robert Browning, Option 2 Gerald Hopkins, Option 3 Matthew Arnold, Option 4 Alfred Tennyson. So the answer is Option 2 Gerald Mankley Hopkins. He created sprung rhyme in which only the stressed syllables are counted. You can see it in the Windhover and Pete Beauty. Do not confuse this with Browning, who is linked with the dramatic monologue. Chapter 3 Fiction and the Short Story. Here we study the rise of the novel up to the postmodern novel, along with techniques such as epistolary form, stream of consciousness, and magic realism. Indian English fiction is heavily asked in this unit. The novel grows step by step. In 18th century, Defoe wrote Robinson Crusoe and Richardson wrote Pamela in the epistolary form, that is in letters. Fielding gave us Tom Jones and Sterney gave us the playful experimental Tristram Shandy. The Gothic novel begins with Walpole's The Castle of Otranto and includes Mary Shelley, Frankenstein. Austen gave us the novel of Manners and Scott, the historical novel. The Victorian age belongs to Dickens, Brontes, George Eliot, and Hardy. The modern are Joyce with Ulysses, along with Woolf, Conrad, Lawrence, and Foster. And the postmortem novel includes Golding, Fallis, and Ruskin Midnight Children. Now the techniques. Stream of consciousness is a term coined by psychologist William James. Interior monologue present in the character unspoken through directly. The epistolary novel told us through letters, as in Richardson Pamela. A Bildungsroman Roman is a novel growing up like Great Expectation. Great Expectation is one of my favorite novel. The Picaresque is an episodic tale of roguish hero. Magic realism places magical element inside a realistic world, as in Rushdie, and point of view may be the first person, the third person limited, or omniscient. Indian English fiction give you a sure question. Mulk Raj Anand wrote Untouchable. This is also one of my favorite. And Cooley speaking for the oppressed. R.K. Narayan created Malgudi in Swami and Friends. Everyone must have seen these Malguni days. My favorite again. And the guide Raja Rao wrote Kantapura and the Serpent and the Rope. Anita Desai wrote Cry, the Peacock and Fire in the Mountains. Salman Rushdie wrote the Booker Prize in 1980, one of the Midnight's Children. And Arundhati Roy won the Booker Prize in 1997 for The God of Small Things. Is the question. The term stream of consciousness was first used by whom? Option 1 Virginia Woolf, option 2 James Joyce, option 3 William James, option 4 Henry James. So the correct answer is option 3 William James. He was a psychologist and used the phrase in this book The Principle of Psychology in 1890. Woolf and Joyce one used the technique in their novels. May Sinclair later applied the term to literature. Chapter 4 Non-Fictional Prose. This includes essays, biography, autobiography and speeches. We move from Bacon to Orwell and also cover Indian prose writers, learn easy titles and famous opening lines carefully. English prose as a clear journey. Francis Bacon published his essays in 1597, short, aphoristic and a full worldly wisdom. Addison and Steele created the periodical essay in the Tatler and the Spectator. Samuel Johnson wrote the Rambler and the Preface to Shakespeare and compiled his famous dictionary in 1755. James Boswell wrote The Life of Samuel Johnson, the greatest English biography. Among the romantic essayists, Carl Lamb wrote Essay of Elia, along with Hazlitt and De Quincey. The Victorian stages are Carlyle, Ruskin, Newman, and Arnold with Culture and Anarchy, and in the modern age was Howe, Russell, Orwell, and Woolf's A Room of One Owns. Now remember these pairs. Bacon wrote of studies and of truth. Lamb wrote Dream Children, A Reverie. Arnold wrote Culture and Anarchy. Orwell wrote Politics and the English Language. Woolf wrote A Room of One's Own. And the Indian side, Gandhi wrote The Story of My Experiments with Truth. Nehru wrote The Discovery of India. And Ambedkar wrote Annihilation of Caste. And Neeraj C. Chaudhary wrote The Autobiography of an Unknown Indian. Question. Essays of Elia was written by whom? Option 1 William Hazlitt, option 2 Charles Lamb, option 3 Thomas De Quincey, option 4 Let Hunt. The answer is option 2 Charles Lamb. Elia was his pen name and the essay appeared in London magazine. Remember that Hazlitt wrote Table Talk and De Quincey wrote Confessions of an English Opium Eater. Chapter 5 Language and the English in Use. Here we study phonetics, basic linguistic theories of language and the method of teaching English. This is a scoring unit if you simply learn the definitions properly. Start with sounds and structure. English has 44 phonemes made of 24 consonants and 20 vowels. The 20 vowels are 12 pure vowels and 8 diphthongs. RP stand for received pronunciation and PA stand for the International Phonetic Alphabet. A phoneme is the smallest unit of sound and a morpheme is the smallest unit of a meaning. A free morpheme can stand alone but a bond morpheme cannot. Syntax is the rule of sentence formation. Semantics is the study of meaning. Pragmatics is the meaning in context. And register is the language suited to a particular situation. These theories must be at your fingertips. Ferdinand D. gave us language and parallel. signifier and signified, the synchronic and diachronic approaches, and the syntagmatic and pragmatic axes. Noam Chomsky gave us competence and performance, deep and surface structure, the language acquisition device, and universal grammar. Halliday gave us systematic functional grammar. J.L. Austin gave us speech act theory with its locutionary, and the perlocutionary acts, and Greece gave us the four maxims: quantity, quality, and relation and manner. Now the methods of teaching English. The grammar translation method teaches rules first and translate into the mother tongue. It is the oldest method. The direct method used only the target language with no translation. The audio lingual method uses drill and repetition and is based on behaviorism. Communicative language teaching, or CLT, puts real communication and fluency first. Task-based language teaching makes learning happen while completing meaningful tasks, and ESP means English for specific purpose, designate for a particular job or subject. Langue and parole are concepts given by whom? Option 1, Noam Chomsky. Option 2, Ferdinand D. Option 3, Halliday. Option 4, J.L. Austin. The answer is option 2, Ferdinand D. Langue is the shared system of language, and parole is the individual act of actual speech. Be careful here, because Chomsky parallel pair is competence and performance. Examiners often mix these two pairs. Chapter 6, English in India. This chapter covers the history, evaluation, and future of English in our country, including the key documents, commissions, and policies. Dates and name win your marks here, so revise them often. Here are the milestones. In 1813, the Charter Act gave the first funding for education in India. In 1835, Macaulay Minutes on education made English the medium of instruction. In 1854, Wood's Dispatch appeared, often called the Magna Carta of English education in India. In 1857, the universities of Kolkata, Bombay, and Madras were established. In 1882, came the Hunter Commission. In 1950, Article 343 made English an associate official language. In 1968, the three-language formula was adopted, and in 2020, the National Education Policy stressed the mother tongue in early schooling. Indian English is now studied as a variety in its own right. Braj Kachru gave the model of three circles. The inner circle, including the UK, USA, and Australia, is a norm providing. The outer circle, including India, Nigeria, and Singapore, is norm developing. The expanding circle, including China, Japan, and Russia, is a norm dependent. India belongs to the outer circle. Indian English has its own features such as prepon and cousin, brother, and we commonly see code switching, code mixing, and he-English. English works as a link language across states, though there is an ongoing debate about whether English is an opportunity or a mark of elitism. Question: Macaulay's Minute on Indian education was presented in which year? Option 1, 1813. Option 2, 1835. Option 3, 1854. Option 4, 1857. The answer is option 2, 1835. Please do not confuse it with the Charter Act of 1813, Wood's Dispatch of 1844, or the founding of the three universities in 1857. Chapter 7, Cultural Studies. This chapter deals with Brigham School, media, power, and identity, and topics such as popular culture, subculture, and ideology. It overlaps with Unit 9, so study the two together and save time. These are founding names. Richard Hogarth wrote The Uses of Literacy and founded the Brigham Center for Contemporary Cultural Studies in 1964. Raymond Williams wrote Cultural and society and gave the idea of dominant, residual and emergent culture. Stuart Hall gave the encoding and decoding model with dominant, negotiated and oppositional readings. E.P. Thompson wrote The Making of English Working Class. Antonio Gramsci gave the concept of hegemony, which means rule by consent rather than by force, and Lewis gave the ideological state apparatus and the idea of interpretation. Unit 7 Cultural Studies. Now the key concept made easy. Cultural industry is a term by Adorno and Horkheimer, meaning culture produced like a factory product. Hegemony means the powerful rule because people agree, but not because they are forced. Interpretation means ideology calls out to you and you accept the identity it offers. A subculture is a smaller group with its own style inside the larger culture. Orientalism by Edward Said describes how the East was constituted as the opposite of the West. Homi K. Bhabha gave hybridity and mimicry, which he described as almost the same but not quite. And Gayatri gave us subaltern in his famous essay Can the Subaltern Speak? Question: The Center for Contemporary Cultural Studies at Brigham was founded by whom? Option 1 Stuart Hall, Option 2 Raymond Williams, Option 3 Richard Hogarth, Option 4 E.P. Thompson. So fast give the answer. The answer is Option 3 Richard Hogarth. He founded it in 1964 and was its first director. Stuart Hall became director later in 1968, and that is the common trap in this question. Chapter 8 Literary Criticism. We move from Plato and Aristotle right up to the next new critics, and we also cover Indian poetics including Rasa, Dhavani, Vakrukti. Simple one-line definition are enough to score here. Go in order. Plato, the Republic, banished poet and said art is thrice removal from truth. Aristotle in the Poetics give mimesis, catharsis and the sixth part of tragedy. Heresy in Ars Poetica said poetry should be dulce, that is sweet and useful. Longinus wrote on the sublime about the greatness that lifts the reader. Philip Sidney wrote an apology for poetry, defending poetry against Puritan attract. John Dryden wrote an essay of dramatic poesy, and it's called the father of English criticism. Wordsworth, in the preface to Lyrical Ballads, defined poetry as a spontaneous overflow of powerful feeling, and Coleridge, in Biographia Literaria, separated fancy from imagination. The modern critical terms. The touchstone method belongs to Matthew Arnold, who judged a poem by comparing with great lines. T.S. Eliot gave the objective, correlative, an object or event that carries the emotion, and also the dissociation of sensibility, the split of thought and feeling after the 17th century. Richard I. A. Richard gave practical criticism, that is close reading without knowing the author's name. Wimsatt and Bracedilli gave the international fallacy, meaning the author's intention does not decide meaning, and the affective fallacy, meaning the reader's feeling does not decide value. And Kenneth Brooks gave the heresy of paraphrase, that a poem cannot be reduced to a summary. Indian poetics is often skipped by students, but it is often asked. Rasa came from Bharat's Natya Shastra, which lists 8 rasas, later made 9. Dhavani comes from Anandavardhana, who said suggestion is the soul of poetry. Alankara is, or the figure of speech, comes from Bhama and Dhandin. Riti comes from Vamana, who said style is the soul of poetry. Vakrukti, meaning artful or crooked speech, comes from Kuntaka, and Auditya, meaning propriety, comes from Kashimindra. Here is quick memory hook. Bharata gives Rasa, Anandavarna gives Dhavani, Abhivagupta comments on both, Vamna gives Riti, Kuntaka gives Vakrukti, and Mamata wrote the Kavya Prakasha. Now the question, the concept of the objective correlative is associated with whom? Option 1, I.A. Richard. Option 2, T.S. Eliot. Option 3, Clet Brooks. Option 4, Matthew Arnold. The answer is option 2, T.S. Eliot. He used the term in his essay Hamlet and His Problem in 1919. It means a set of objective or a situation that become the formula for a particular emotion. Chapter 9, Literary Theory after 1945. This chapter covers formalism, structuralism, and deconstruction along with feminism, Marxism, post-colonialism, and queer theory. This is the heaviest unit in the paper, so revise it the most. Let us take the school one by one. Russian formalism gives us Sokolovsky, who coined defamiliarization, and Jacobson, who described the poetic function. Structuralism gives us Levi, Strauss, Barthes, and Genetti, who argued that meaning comes from a system. Deconstruction gives us Derrida with difference and logocentrism, and his famous statement that there is nothing outside the text. Psychoanalysis gives us Freud with the unconscious, and Lacan with the mirror stage. Marxist criticism gives us Lucas, Marquette, Jameson, and Eglinton, who link literature with class, and reader response theory gives us Esser with gaps, Fish with interpretive communities, and Joseph with the horizon of expectations. Continuing with the school, feminism gives us Eileen Showalter with gynocriticism, and Gilbert and Guber with Mad Woman in Attic. French feminism gives us success with Irrupture Femine along with Kristeva. Post-colonialism gives us Fanon, said Bhabha, and Spivak, and the important book The Empire Writes Back. New historicism belongs to Stephen Greenblatt, who read text and history together. Eco-criticism gives us Kirill Glotfelty and Lawrence Buell, linking literature and the environment. Queer theory gives us Foucault and Jude Butler, whose book Gender Trouble introduced performativity, and postmodernism gives us Lyotard with this distrust of grand narrative, and Baudelaire and Simulacra. There are 10 terms that can fetch you 10 marks. Defamiliarization means making the familiar look strange so that we notice it again. Difference means meaning is always different and always delayed. Gynocriticism means studying women as writers, not just as characters. Écriture féminine means writing that flows from the female body and experience. Performativity meaning gender is something we repeatedly do, not something we simply are. Now, simulacra means a copy with no original behind it. A meta-narrative is a big story that claims to explain everything. And an interpretive community is a group of readers whose shared habits shape meaning. Gender Trouble, published in 1990, which introduced the idea of performativity, was written by whom? Option 1, Elena Walter. Option 2, Judith. Option 3, Julia. Option 4, Helene. The answer is option 2, Judith. She argued that gender is produced by repeated acts and is not fixed by nature. Remember that Showalter gave gynocriticism and gave Écriture féminine. Chapter 10, Research Method and Materials in English. This chapter covers research, design, hypothesis, literature review, MLA style, citation, and the rules of plagiarism. It is the easiest unit in the paper, so please do not lose marks here. Start with the basics. Basic research adds to knowledge, while applied research solves a practical problem. Qualitative research studies meaning, while quantitative research studies numbers. A hypothesis is a testable statement made in advance. A literature review shows the gap that your work will fill. A primary source is the original text and a secondary source is a contemporary on it. For documentation, MLA style is a standard for English studies and it is now in its 9th edition. MLA uses a text citation, giving the author and page number and the list at the end called work cited. APA style is used in the social science and Chicago style uses notes and a bibliography. Now digital resources and academic integrity. Shodh Ganga is the Indian repository of full-text PhD thesis run by InflibNet. InflibNet is the information and library network centered on Autonomous Center of the UGC JSTOR and the project MUACR Major Digital Archives of Scholarly Journals. The MLA International Bibliography is the key index for literature research. Under the UGC plagiarism regulations of 2018, similarity up to 10% is treated as minor and higher levels invite penalty. And textual criticism means comparing differences version to establish an authentic text, often published as a variorium edition. Final question: in MLA style, the list of sources at the end of research paper is titled what? Option 1 bibliography, option 2 references, option 3 work cited, option 4 endnote. The answer is option 3 work cited. MLA lists only the source actually cited in the paper. Remember that APA uses references and Chicago uses bibliography. Before we close, here is your last week revision checklist. For Unit 1, match every playwright with 2 plays. For Unit 2, revise sonnet forms, metrical feet and Indian poets. For Unit 3, revise novel techniques and the Booker-winning Indian novels. For Unit 4, revise easy titles and the authors. For Unit 5, revise the sorcery and the Chomsky pair and the teaching method. For Unit 6, revise all 8 dates and the Charter Act to NEP 2020. For Unit 7, revise the Birmingham School along with Said Baba and Spivak. For Unit 8, revise Aristotle, Eliot, the New Critics and the Indian Poetics. For Unit 9, prepare a one-line definition for every theory term. And for Unit 10, revise the MLA rules and the digital resource. So students, you have completed all 10 units of UGC NET English Paper 2. My advice to you is watch the video once again 3 days before your exam and write every term in your own handwriting, in your own notebook, in your own understanding, because writing fixes memory far better than reading. And on exam day, attempt all 100 questions because there is no negative marking. If this video helped you, please like, share and subscribe. All the very best for your UGC NET English. This is Dr. Samira Fannaz wishing you a great success.